So there's so many movies that get remade that don't need to be remade because they're not bad movies and they don't do anything to change the story. But on my letterbox, I started movies that I watch that I like that I think should be remade. Like there's something either off about it or could really be updated for something. Okay? And I think that's something that we should look at. So today's episode is all about a reboot. And the film in question is a nice little mid-90s movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that is Last Action Hero. And what I kind of picture this movie as is Last Action Hero is a really cool concept of a film where you have a child who is basically role model, idol, and everything is his favorite movie star, action star. And I picture this film being remade, but it's starring, ready for it, John Cena. Because I think he has that same kind of vibe. And I see this almost because he's been doing a lot of films for Amazon Studios as being like an Amazon Studios movie. I thought about this watching recently Ricky Stenicki and then watching Jackpot. And I think the tonality of those films are very similar. You know, you have this very heightened reality of the movies and then this dark contrast of the real world. And I think you play with that same tone and you set it now. And I think why it needs to be remade is I think because it was ahead of its time when the film originally came out. And I think because of that, it just kind of gotten lost in just the huge, archive of Arnold films. You get Arnold in the movie as the police captain, okay, just for fun. But you play around with the idea of the reality and movie stars, and of course, you blow it out of proportion, making fun of them, self-referential, and you get someone who doesn't have to take themselves seriously, like John Cena, who is okay with kind of making fun of himself. And then you play around the ideas, like I was thinking, you even make fun of the idea that the new, whatever the character you want to call it, if you still want to keep Jack, or if you want to do something new, it's fine. But the idea of like movies, theaters closing, because in the original, you have this old school movie theater and the kid, his theater is struggling, but you can kind of play around with like the state of where movie theaters are compared to streaming. Because if you did this movie on a streaming platform, it's humorous, that the movie in itself is making fun of itself because it is streaming. But I really feel like this was a movie that got left behind. And analyzing, like, it's been a little while since I watched. I wanted to do this recording before, but I didn't quite have. I had the idea of the story and I didn't put it down like I should have, but I really didn't know like who to go for. And then, like I said, after watching Jackpot, it kind of came back around. Like, I think John Cena would be perfect. I think most people would say, "Oh, The Rock," but I don't know. The Rock hasn't impressed me lately. I think he blew his top doing Black Adam. And since that film did not do what he wanted it to do and everything, he's kind of been suffering. And I think his whole image got, put in check and stuff. So I don't think he's being held up there like he once was recently. But I really think Last Action Hero is a really neat concept that could be revisited to where you have, because the first one is not super well loved, but it's not super hated. And I think if you remade it, you can make it to where you change enough things to make it modern to where people will really like it and enjoy it more, make it more action comedy. And I feel like that's the kind of vibe that Cena is running and the kind of vibe that we need. And it would be fun to kind of break down and just, like I said, poke fun at like the tropes of movies like they did in the film. And I think it would be a really good film to reboot and remake, actually. Don't need a franchise, because I don't think the story lends towards multiple viewings, but one and done, I think, would be a fun, back into that world. And don't do the mixture with the cartoon or whatever. But there's a lot of, I think about, if you guys remember Tropic Thunder, when they did the whole joke with Tug Speedman, Ben Stiller's character, where they show all the different Scorcher movies and all the stuff he went through, and they're like, we did the Scorcher, whatever, Frozen. He's like, who left the fridge open? And we did something along the lines where, we see, they tried to take the Jack franchise, and they did some of these really bad Jack movies where and then even in the story, you can make it even more meta, where they're going to reboot the Jack franchise, and the kid is watching the last or the first Jack movie, which is John Cena, but then they're going to reboot it, and we find someone else who's completely at the opposite, and they're going to do, we go for the kind of the concept that we've been fighting with in films anyways, with the dark and gritty reboot. We've seen this joke over and over, but it would be fun. But you get somebody who's completely wrong for the character to be super serious as the new Jack. And that's kind of what the kid's at his theater that's closing down. He's losing his world. His favorite movie star franchise is being replaced, and you could even make it that it's not been that long, but they just want to reboot Jack quickly. Kind of talking about the nature of how, you look at, if COVID hadn't happened, you had your last Ben Affleck Batman film in 2017, and if COVID hadn't happened, in 4 years you would have had a new Batman being the Batman. And then even you go back, Christian Bale was in 2012, and then you had Ben Affleck by 2016, which is 4 years. And look at Spider-Man, was 2007, and then we had 2011 was The Amazing Spider-Man, and then 2014, or was it 2012 was Amazing Spider-Man? I think it was 2012, and then 2014 was The Amazing Spider-Man, and then 2016 we had Tom Holland, or was it 2017? See, I can't remember. It's 2 to 3, they're getting faster and faster between reboots, and just kind of had that as an ongoing narrative joke. But yeah, Last Action Hero, let me know your thoughts.